Reverend Dick speaking. Here in Sweden, many Swedes are under the misconception that we only pay like 32% in income tax. What they forget to take into account is all of the fees that is put on top of this that you, of course, have to pay for because no employer want to pay for you. So as a matter of fact, when you look at it, the social service fees, which is meant to cover health insurance, that is a public thing, public pensions, and all of the social services that whatever fucking socialist has promised people, is about 20%. Then on top of this, you also have something called an employer's fee, which is about 10% on top of that as well. So if you take all of this into account, you're closer to 65% income tax. So for every fucking $100 that you make, $65 is paid in taxation. Now, many Swedes will tell you that as long as the system works, they're willing to live under this shit. But what happens when the system doesn't work is that you get people like me that gets pissed off about shit and start asking questions. So here's one of the many ways that they decide to spend my money over half of the time that I work. So Nykvarn allows new arrivals to stay with no time limit. And this is fucking brilliant. The new arrivals, this is it's basically economical migrants that come to Sweden for welfare tourism. So, Nykvarn, according to a survey done by News Today, Nykvarn is the only municipality in Stockholm County that allows new arrival to retain the housing they've been allocated until they have acquired their own. As the News Today's articles behind the paywall, News Today has today called the municipality's health and care manager, Maria Persson Löfqvist, to find out how it is. We have not set an absolute time limit because I feel it's difficult to throw people out on the streets. Now it has been 2 years, now you have to go out on the streets. And then they have to come into the social service next door and get help with housing. I thought we were trying to work much more proactively and help people out to their own homes instead. Can't these temporary accommodations then become permanent? No, those people can't because it's about modular houses with temporary building permits and maybe collective housing in a larger property, so no, it can't be permanent living. Now, first of all, this is complete and utter horseshit. Anyone who lives in Sweden have seen these temporary collective housings in a larger property, and it's usually old hotels, old bed and breakfasts, we call them hostels. Hostels is the right word in English as well. Where they have nice accommodations, usually in a quiet area with family housing around, with people with kids having their first houses and shit living there. And when these people come from the modular houses and the old senior citizens accommodations where people basically went to die, and they come to these old bed and breakfasts, these old hotels, they basically find paradise. And to be quite honest, if I got to live like that without paying a fucking buck, I would take it, and I would refuse to move, and that would be it. Now let's continue on, but there's no time limit. We work very actively with these people so that they come out in their own homes. We don't just release them and let it roll, if that's what you mean, when you imply that there's no time limit. We work very actively. We have a living plan. We meet younger people maybe once a week to see, how did your apartment hunting go? Have you found something? This is, this is just so typical fucking Sweden. Oh, I'm losing my fucking mind because I gotta go out and have to work tonight to be able to pay for my own fucking accommodation. But these motherfuckers, you know, I start work at like 2:30 and I work until like 7:30, sometimes even 8, delivering shit to people. But these motherfuckers, they just show up. They sell drugs. They. Oh, fuck me sideways. Do you place any demands on those who have been granted housing? People have to pay rent where they live. We have this living plan, as I said. There is nothing you can opt out of. We work towards our own accommodation, which they arrange themselves. It may be the secondary market or whatever, but it should not go through us then. Now, here's the thing. This payment plan usually is also fucking tax money that they steal from people like me who have to work hard all fucking night to then just hand it out to fucking foreign criminals. And yeah, they don't pay for shit. What do you do if they do not strive to find their own home? Although we have never been in that situation since we work with people for real, it's not that we let them in any apartment somewhere and then leave them there, but we really work actively, so we will not end up with a situation that they do not want to refuse or so. They do not have that opportunity. Maria Persson Löfqvist cannot answer exactly how many new arrivals are living in temporary housings in Nykvarn right now. Of course she fucking can't, because she's a fucking moron. Now, here's the thing. When people arrive to Sweden, they're usually handed welfare money, welfare housing. They're given clothing, they're given bus cards to be able to ride with municipalities, bus company, and whatever. So, if you go somewhere, if you're given free money, free housing, free food, free clothing, free transportation, you don't have to work for a living to be able to pay your way, as is, normal. Would you work? Honestly? Because this isn't, me just trying to tell people that these people are from other countries, they're brown or whatever, and therefore, no, I'm serious. If you are given everything for free, would you lift a finger to support yourself? Just ask yourself that question. Because I know that I wouldn't. But then again, I'm not given anything for free, so that's fucked anyhow. This has been Reverend Dick, signing off. Bye-bye.